We were in the middle of our tournament when my friend John said he found a body in the bushes over there. I ran over there because I'm a healing monk to try and help, but obviously my magic wasn't strong enough because the dude's body was missing a head. So my friend decided to try and use a necromancer spell, which didn't work, which I knew it wouldn't. And apparently we contaminated the crime scene because that spell uses a lot of glitter.
Your Honor, I object!
And why is that, Mr. Reed?
Because it's devastating to my case!
I gotta tell you, you brighten my day, ma'am. All right?
That's what the last guy said, and then he sued me.
Good afternoon. Happy Sunday, people. Oh my God, I'm too big. Hang on. There we go. That's better. Hello. Happy Sunday. Are y'all ready for some absolute fun? Because my guest today is just such a blast to hang out with. Oh my God, do we already have new members? What in tarnation? Christina, thank you. Christina is one of our fearless and wonderful mods. So please be nice to her. We've got Nikki here. Hi, honey. Nikki also became a member during our last live. And a lot of Nichols became a member. Thank you so much. Thank y'all. Y'all are the shit. Anywho, I will not bogus y'all any longer. The person I'm bringing in, you may know her from YouTube. You may know her from TikTok. She has been into true crime pretty much as far back as she can remember, probably. She's definitely an extraordinaire with that kind of stuff. She also has been big on covering Karen Reed on her platforms and a lot of other cases. She's definitely, I would say, a good bit of a victim's advocate as well. She's helped a lot of people during the time that I've known her. So please, please, please give the warmest of welcomes to my friend Koral. Hello, darling.
Hi. Well, that was a great intro. Thank you. And I was looking for better in the sky. Like, is he gonna come? We missed you already.
We made that an emoji for the members. We just got memberships like active, and that's one of them.
Yay!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
See, we've already got people using
I'm
it.
so proud of you, honestly.
Oh,
this is just so wild. Just to see, like, even if we go back from when you were like just coming on and modding with me when I was talking about Karen in the background, giving me all like, did you see this? And we were going sharing information, and then just seeing you on your own platform, it like makes my heart so happy because wow, girl. You've had a lot of cool guests on here too, and I'm like, yeah. So unfortunate replay crew, because I swear you do it so late when I have to get up so freaking early in the morning. But I do like, or like it's like something that I'm already like, kids, sports, something's going on, and I'm like, crap, replay crew.
It's same here. I feel like because I've modded for you on TikTok before, and now that I've gotten a little busier, I feel like I'm always at work when you're live, or I'm live when you're live. So.
It's the time change over here. I'm in Massachusetts over here. So yeah, this Karen Reed one hit real heavy for me because it is local to me. So I definitely was like, whoa, this is crazy. And this case has been so wild from day one. And I think we're all just mad. I think we're all mad at this point because it's like common sense, bro. You tell me like nobody's watching this, nobody sees this. Like I'm over here like brains bulging out my neck explaining it to my hubby who does not care about true crime whatsoever or Karen. Why are you so mad? You don't even know her. I'm like, I could be her. Okay. And that's what pisses me off.
Well,
I don't want
so
that
could your husband.
Anybody.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I'm like, well, our friends that are cops, we're not partying with them anymore.
We can't hang out with them. Oh my
God, I'll come to your pool party, but I'm setting up the camera and look and aim it right at my headlights and taillights because we ain't having none of that. Okay, no pirouettes over here.
Ain't that the truth? Oh my God. Guys, are you able to hear Coral okay, or is it just me?
Yeah, can you guys hear me? She was saying I
Okay,
was
now
having
you're clear to
connection
me.
issues.
Larry's here. Hey, so glad you made it. Hey, Larry, let me just say that's why I do like all the goofy intros that I do so that people can figure it out and not miss anything. Okay, cool. Christina hears you fine. Nikki says you're a little
It's a little scratchy. I'm crackling?
crackly. Yeah.
No. If it keeps doing that, then I'll switch over to my phone, but
Okay. Yeah, no problem. If that ends up happening, I'll just
just keep me posted if it's not working right. I shut off all
Okay.
browsers behind the scenes, so I know it's a problem on my end. Sometimes when
Yep, closing your tabs, it helps a whole lot. Goodness, which sucks because like one thing I love doing is pulling up, hearings and stuff on another tab and, kind of reacting to it.
it doesn't work
with
well.
the chat.
I have a gaming router too, so I'm like, what else do I need to do here?
Right. Oh yeah, trust me. If you saw my first live stream,
I did see your first live stream.
Okay,
but
you
listen,
did.
it was much like my first YouTube. It's TikTok. You hold open your phone, you push a button, and bang, you're
And
there.
boom.
Yeah, YouTube. You gotta get this platform, this. You got this stream. You gotta do this. You need headphones. You need a mic. It's crazy. It's a lot. It's a whole different world over here than it is over there. So that's why you see me live on TikTok a lot more because it's just so easy.
Right, and you're able to kind of use when your Wi-Fi is weak, then it uses cellular. And
no, I'm still coming in choppy.
Do you want to try on your phone then?
Yeah, maybe it'll be better. Maybe that'll work more.
Okay, we will wait.
I was gonna say I'll go back up on the. I usually have no problems if I switch over to my phone. Let me go here.
Let's just take a moment while you're here to appreciate your logo that you have behind you.
Yeah, you gotta. Well, let me get out of the way.
Yeah, y'all, Coral's nails are like her signature.
And the red bathrobe with the nails.
Too. I love it. Hey, Lulu. Oh, okay. There you are on your phone. I'm going to bring that onto the stage. Guys, we now have 2 corals.
2 corals. Let me get out the other one.
There we go.
Okay, cool.
We're now at 1 coral.
1 coral is enough.
See, I probably would have signed off and then come back on my phone. So I love how you were like, nope, we're going to do this all in one. No break. Lulu loves your nails too.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's not echoing or anything, right?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're completely good. All right. Everybody's saying that you're 100% better now.
Okay, cool.
Sweetness. Oh, a whole lot of nickels. Don't even worry about it. Because we were fixing some connection issues anyway. Oh my God. So Nikki found the new emoji. All right. So Coral, here is our latest emoji. Here we go. What the hell?
Yeah, I was trying to put my backdrop on, and it took me totally out.
Oh, okay. No problem.
Okay. Now let me shut off this other mic, and then I won't have the. There we go.
Now it's just like when you're doing your TikTok.
Yes. Okay. Now we're good. I'm trying to leave it on the charger because I know it'll drain my battery fast.
No problem.
Okay, now we're good.
Sweetness. So for those of us who are here but do not know you, how long have you been kind of doing true crime content, or at least just how long have you been into it?
So I've always been like you said, even in the intro, like from before, like I grew up watching horror and crime and everything related to that. So it was kind of always since a small child, I've been watching cases and crime, and it was just such a big staple in our household. So it was a normal thing. But then about 4 years ago, I started getting onto TikTok, and then I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was trying funny things. I tried the silly dances. I tried everything, and then I started like looking at little crime cases and stuff, and that's when Karen came along. And when Karen came up, that was where it was my first big one that I wanted to. I was like, you know what, this is what I want to do. I want to talk about it because we were watching the trial and stuff, and then it's like I need to unload all the things that I saw today, and I want to hear other people's personal opinions about it and how they took it, because I realized that like you might take something and interpret it different than I do. So having that discussion was always awesome to be able to kind of bounce things off of people. And I feel like sleuths are like the best detectives because we're not paid. We just go out there and we want to look at, so like, oh, wait a second. So from here to here is this much distance. And so you're trying to do the math yourself. Like figure these things out, drive there. Let's go take a look and see, that was just something that was so fun. And then I got onto the Wade Wilson case. And if you guys didn't know, Wade Wilson out of Florida, that one was real big with the guy with the, tattoos. Yes. And then that one got crazy. And then out of nowhere, I got his biological father just popped into my live one day and came up and did a live discussion with me. And Papa Steve, we love some Papa Steve. And then after that, it was just like constant where I felt like I was manifesting people that were actually in the case and they were coming up, and we had these good discussions and learned a lot along the way. But it was so fast, so quick that it was just a little overwhelming. Nobody could prepare you.
Right. Yeah, you're 100% correct on that. I will never forget how that blew up because you were one of the first people covering it in a way that didn't glorify the defendant. Well, we can just say now he's been convicted. But you actually were the only one, at least that I found at the time, who was covering it in a way that was A, respectful to everybody involved, and B, gave more attention and more of an effort to assist the victims and victims' families. And
we actually raised $400 for Diane. That's one of the victims. There was two of them, Diane and Christine. Rest in peace to both of them.
Diane had 2 kids.
Yep. And those 2 boys, they are adults. The youngest one is in college. But hey, anything is better than nothing. And I just was like, hey, maybe like your mom's not here. Maybe they'll give you gas for your car or like pay a bill or something, or go treat yourself. I don't care what you do, because they were like adamant, like, we don't want money. And I'm like, no one's trying to make you feel bad. It's just all us mama bears out here would like to do something nice, because your mom's not here to do that. And we're proud of you. We want to show that. So it was kind of like bittersweet of something like, yes, I'm diving into it, but I want to do something positive as well,
Yes. And, those 2 boys handled that entire tragedy with a lot of grace and a lot of class, especially considering their age, because even though they are legally adults, they're still very young. They're college age and early 20s. And when this took place, the younger one was still a minor. So, I feel like, with or without you, they handled everything as well as they possibly could have publicly. And I loved Melissa, who wasn't that her name, or was it Marissa, the girl who was Diane's friend and has been helping the boys ever since?
Yeah, we won't get into that.
Oh, okay.
Like I tell you, you learn a lot along the way.
YouTubing.
you definitely learn a lot along the way, and you learn,
Yep.
you end up learning about like not everything that or not every person that comes up and talks to you is exactly who they portray. So that's why we deep dive over here. So now, like, lessons were learned, but not to say that she wasn't a friend to Diane at some point in her life, but it just turned crazy real quick. So we just she's like Vlad or like Voldemort. We just don't talk about her.
That's or Beetlejuice. You just don't say
Yeah,
it.
no.
Oh man, that's hilarious. So, so yeah, you've done a lot with that case. What else are you covering right
So
now?
I kind of do like a lot of the stories that are like I just did one about the Slender Man the other day because that girl got out of. Can you believe that? That was insane to me. That if you remember the Slender Man killings it wasn't killing. The girl didn't die. Slender Man was these two children back in 2014 in Wisconsin who decided that they were going to be fascinated with Slender Man, which was some fictional character,
Yeah.
and they actually lured their friend during a sleepover out in the woods and stabbed her 19 times. The girl survived, but
What?
they sent both the girls to a mental health facility, and they're releasing the girl that did this. Like she planned it
What?
out, had a whole everything, and she even while she's been in this psychiatric facility was talking to some older man, and they were very sadistic messages that she was sending. And she got her hands on some book that was about like selling body parts or selling bodies on the black market. And
Jeez.
the therapists were like, yeah, even with that aside, we think she's okay to release back into society. So like these are the cases that I like to talk about too, because they were big in the media and then they kind of fell off because of how long ago it happened. But like we need to do better here. Like, what are we doing? We're putting this
Yeah.
back on the street, and then something else is going to happen, and people are going to be like, "Oh, I didn't. Well, how did this happen?" Well, because your dumbasses let her out. That's what happened.
Yep. And it's like what you were talking about with Wade. You know, the media has a tendency to glorify the wrong people in these stories. And I get that they're going to do what they feel is going to get them the most viewership and make them the most money. But when that kind of stuff happens, I mean, look at how much money was contributed to Wade just because he was a good-looking dude and there were a couple mistakes made on the prosecutorial side. You know, it was just
The whole thing was a
unbelievable.
circus. He ended up having like they raised a ridiculous amount of money, like freaking $500,000 for this guy. His
And Bro had
commissary
like
was
a new
full.
Yep.
And I'm
And he
like,
had
for
like a new
what? Like, did you guys
fiance
not
every
see
week.
that? This is what pissed me off, and that's why I was so avid on this trial, is because you guys are glorifying him because of how he looked, and you're not looking at what he was like during. Like everything in trial was ridiculous amounts of overwhelming evidence that he did what he did, and they're trying to find any little loophole. Well, he said he didn't do it. Like, oh, but the DNA does not lie. That's what pisses me off about Karen. DNA, science, that shit does not lie.
Exactly.
We rely on that for a reason. And that's like, man, we learned that from Bill Nye the Science Guy. Science
Yeah.
rules, man.
And the Commonwealth is putting all their eggs in the basket of witness testimony. And pretty suspicious witnesses, might I add, who all seem to have some type of incentive in seeing Karen go to prison. Because remember, if Karen gets convicted, if it looks like an easy, clean-cut case against Karen, then nobody's going to look into them. Nobody had Jennifer McCabe's phone before, like, very close to the trial. Like, Jennifer McCabe's phone, Canone actually had denied access to initially. Proctor's cell phone, that was not going to be a thing. His personal cell phone, we were not going to have access to that before the federal investigation. So, you know, they really put a lot of weight on just testimony, no hard evidence. And then those witnesses, they have so much writing on Karen going to prison. I mean, it's wild that they don't see that conflict there.
Well, it pissed me off too when they start bringing in like so many of them were irrelevant. Like those girls from Aruba, they were trash.
Mhm.
Like, why are we even letting them speak right now? I feel like we're watching Jerry Springer. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
They don't know Karen. They don't know John. Like, this is just ridiculous that we're even letting them have any sort of floor space. That's why defense was like, yeah, we had nothing further. We don't even want to
Right.
even talk to them. They're trash
Well-
bags. Like,
Well, and you know that the whole reason they were brought in, and the only reason that the niece and nephew were brought in to testify, was because they decided to take the charges from manslaughter to second-degree unaliving. And they
Yep.
needed those testimonies to try to create some type of motive. Because you need means, motive, and opportunity to convict for that. Manslaughter, you know, it's an accident. It's a whole lot easier to convict on. But when it's an unaliving charge, you have to show some type of premeditation.
well, you know, the whole thing pisses me off is like your lead investigator. We already saw what he did with Sandra Birchmore. We already know, and he's involved in the Brian Walsh case as well. And then now we have this one. Like, how many other cases before this that weren't mainstream media has he failed? How many unsolved
Right.
cases? Or I want to know more about Mr. Proctor, because this is insane. And
Right.
what is the defense even going to trial? The defense is going to have a heyday on the fact that majority of these witnesses were punished for what they've done in this case, round one. So any juror, which I'm really shocked, like what 12 people are they finding in Massachusetts that don't know anything about this case? That alone is blowing my mind, because
Yeah, that's shocking.
it's literally everywhere. I can't go anywhere in I live here, and I'm telling you,
Right.
like, it's a topic
There's
of conversation a lot.
Yeah, there's freaking billboards up there.
Yeah, it's really it's the craziest thing. So that's why I'm like, how is this even fair? Why is Judge Bev's like Auntie Bevy is still doing this? Like, when are they someone gonna be like, hey, this ain't right? Like,
Yeah,
you know, we
it's time
need
to
to do
pause it.
something.
I think that the second did you see the motion to dismiss hearing this week?
Yes, I sure did.
The second Jackson brought up the fucking Post-it notes, Beverly should have been like, are you serious? That's their access logs?
Yeah.
Closed up her book that Alessi put together for her and said, it's over. We're tossing this whole thing. But yeah, this week, Beverly went from biased to corrupt in my book.
Yeah, no, I think that's undeniable now. I feel like with all that, and then it's like, why shut down Bettero? That is for, aren't you trying to give her a fair trial? If these people have been like avid and been working on this case themselves, this is helpful to her. She should be able to hire whoever she wants. And that was really frustrating to me, is like, how are you to deny her? This is who she gets to pick. This is not anything on, it would make more sense if it was like on the prosecution side. Okay. But like, come on, we're getting ridiculous now. It's like, what can we do to make sure that this is totally unfair for Karen and the whole world gets to see that? You know, it's undeniable now. I feel we had a whole discussion with some local cops that I know. And the guy was going in, and he was just like, as a cop myself, like, this is so crazy to me. And like, we talk about it often because there's brotherhood, but we don't stand behind what's going on over here. And we know that it's very corrupt, and it's very frustrating that we're getting, we're as state cops, they're getting hits for it too, because they're like, okay, all of us now are deemed to be terrible police officers because of what they've done. And I'm like, hey, mate, it's everywhere, unfortunately.
It is.
No matter where you go and no matter what state, it's everywhere.
And yeah, and it's like you said, if you think this only happens in Massachusetts, I mean, I'm all the way in Florida, and I'm knee deep in this case, just like a lot of us here in the chat are from out of state. But this doesn't just happen in Massachusetts. This has not just happened to Karen Reed. So we have a lot to think about when it comes to admissibility of evidence. I mean, how was that evidence collected? What steps did you take to rule out every other suspect? I mean, they didn't knock on the door of the Alberts house. Didn't even so much as knock on the door. They didn't find it suspicious at all that Brian Albert didn't come outside to be like, hey, what are all these first responders doing?
Well, like,
Outside the house.
let's be real. I'd be out there like freaking sweeping my grass. Like, what's going on over here? You know, like if it's
Yep.
at your house, you're
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, oh, that's
I'd be
weird. The
dusting
guy
my
that's my
mailbox.
friend. Yeah, like my friend is that was supposed to come here, never made it, and he's out in the grass. I'll just stay inside. It's fine. You know, like, no, that's not, that alone is a huge red flag on fire. Like, what?
Definitely. Definitely. Oh, Kimberlina 15. 100%. So that though, it takes a lot in Massachusetts to get a
A
judge
lot.
removed. For the most part, that's basically up to that particular judge who you want to recuse themselves.
But they are trying to get that before the trial starts. They're trying to get her removed for that. So like they've already put that motion into place, but we already know how this is going to go. The
Yes.
corruption is so crazy. We're going to see the ceiling fan again for God, hopefully not as long as last time, but
No kidding.
it's bad here. I'm telling you, when it comes to that portion, the corruption does run deep, and it would very much shock me if something. It would really have to be the FBI coming in. That's really and they've had ample time to do that. They did it with Sandra Birchmore. You know, now Sandra Birchmore is going to get some justice, but like that also happened in 2020, so it can take some time.
And you know what stinks too about that, Coral, to me, is that as of right now, the only charges Matthew Farwell has are federal.
So we won't see it.
Nothing. Yeah, we won't see it, but nothing has come down on him from the Commonwealth.
Well, that's because
hasn't charged
they're all corrupt on it, and they know that they all had parts on it. The chief of police, the DA. I mean, this goes up the chain. I mean, who is found hanging in a sitting position from a closet door on a carpet? That does not happen. Your body naturally will stop you from having that happen to you, even if you wanted. That's why people climb up and hang themselves from above, or they, make sure the floor's slippery so they can't come back from it. That is not something that happens. And to just, hey, this is suicide, and then just go no further. No, that should have been automatically a problem. And then, so now all that evidence is gone. Anything that was in there, the only thing they have was from that, pathologist.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Dr. Bodden pointed this out, but, what shocked me is that the original medical examiner found that Sandra's hyoid bone was broken. She took note of it. She didn't just miss that the hyoid bone was broken. She found the broken hyoid bone and wrote that down. And
hey, before we get off track, though, I want to talk about how back in the day when I was first talking about Sandra Birchmore, you would come in just to tell me what bone it was, because I'm like,
that's
the neck
right.
bone.
That's right, because you'd always forget. And so I'd be like,
I always forget the name of the neck bone. I'm like, what is it? What is it? Britt, what is that bone again?
Yeah, you know what I should have done? I should have taken some screen recordings of like our lives before and shared them on here. That would have been so funny. Like
it would have been. Like, the growth is real.
Isn't that true? But that ME wrote it down. Now, a broken hyoid bone happens in less than 1% of female self-checkouts. Less than 1%. And
well, you say it's so nice. I'm over here like brutally honest.
Right. And then well over 50% of unalivings by another person. She was one day shipped to Jesus by somebody else. And as soon as they saw that hyoid bone, they should have known. And I think it was Jay Megan who found this.
I freaking love her.
She's great. She's great. She came on this show too.
Yeah, no, I saw that, and like I was watching. She went live the other night on TikTok, and I was watching her from there.
Awesome.
But I love her. I love her like board. She spent a lot of time on that color coordinating with the times.
For me, it's a notebook. I've got a big fat spiral notebook that I put.
Yeah, that's what I
everything.
have. I have a notebook. Hey, I wanted to ask you, since you've been covering this and having a lot of guests on and stuff, have you come across people that are Karen supporters?
Who are not?
No, who are Karen, who are not Karen, who are not Karen supporters. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, okay. So, as you know, I live far away from Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of the people who are local to me have only read, the headlines. And we know what those headlines say. So, in my area, I would say it's probably 50-50 split. But, everybody down here is at least polite about their disagreement. But what everybody down here has in common is that they think Karen deserves to walk because of the misconduct, the incompetence, and the conflicts of interest going on. So even the people who think that Karen did it, they at least have enough respect for the procedural due process guaranteed to us by the United States Constitution, which is, one thing that I love to highlight in this case, which is that, even if you think that Karen did this, which if you knew all the evidence and if you can rub two brain cells together, you'd probably conclude that she did not do it. But even if you do feel that she did it, you should be every bit as upset with law enforcement as the Free Karen Reid crowd is.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that the whole thing, what doesn't matter what you feel about Karen Reid herself, doesn't remove the facts of just take Karen out of the picture. No car hit that man. That was scientifically proven that there was no vehicle that hit him. Like, how do you get hit by a car at 24 miles per hour and not have any broken bones at minimum or bruising? No bruising? Like, man, like I hit my leg on a coffee table. I got a bruise. So you're telling me that this man was the murder weapon, and there's nothing to back that up or support that. No DNA besides that one piece of hair that hung on for dear life.
Oh
We all
yeah,
know
the
about
Olympian
that.
hair. Yeah. Yeah.
And then why when they were towing the car back, didn't they take it to two of the other state barracks that they passed by? Why did they bring it back to Canton, knowing that it shouldn't have gone there in the first place because of, Kevin works there. Like, hello, that's his brother's house. All that evidence can't go there.
And Higgins has just been hanging out there all day for fun, on and off since 1:00 in the morning. He's just been spending his day off there playing
after day drinking too. Don't forget he was day drinking all day and then left the party early to go move cars, do paperwork, be on the phone at 1:30 in the morning, butt dial people, magic butt dials.
In case y'all were wondering who Dexter is, he's behind her.
He's clopping around back there.
Oh, boy, he's a big German Shepherd. And
he's
guys,
a big boy.
Now, as far as Bev's rationale is concerned, Koral is now qualified as an expert. So she could testify as to whether John O'Keefe's arm wounds were caused by a dog.
And you know what I'll do is I'll bring the little scar that I have on my ankle and show how when he got excited and he scratched me, like how it's the same injury marks that match John's arm, and then we could just wrap it up. Because I looked at his arm right away and said, I have a German Shepherd. I've seen what he's done. I've seen what he can do in a matter of seconds. So yes, and then poor Chloe. Where's Chloe? Like, if they found Chloe like they said they did, I want Chloe to come into the courthouse and look at I want Brian Albert to walk over to Chloe and see the reaction of the dog. Because listen, a lot of German Shepherds look alike. You could tell me, we could bring my dog in there and say it's Chloe, but until I see the reaction of that dog to his owner that had him for 8 years, and then magically got rid of him. Like, I'm sorry. I'll probably get rid of my kids before I get rid of my dog. My dog's the most loyal thing I got. Like, that's crazy to me, especially after 8 years. Like, I love my dog. Like, I'm not going to just get rid of him. I'm going to, and then the frantic way that they did do that. And then magically, like, even what between midnight, between 12:30 in the morning or 12:10 in the morning to 6:00 in the morning, that dog disappeared.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me now, at the first trial, you didn't have the dog, but now you have the dog? and you're going to do like teeth imprints. Come on, man.
And if you gave a damn about whether Chloe really did do this, and if you really did have an interest in taking dental molds, you would have done it immediately. You wouldn't
Right
have
away.
waited 3 years until that dog is in a different phase of life, has reduced bone density. Your underbite, any dog develops an underbite in its later years.
Actually, let me show you something that's because now I can move my phone so I could show you. This is like we have to fix our wall because our German Shepherd, when he wants to get outside, he scratches at the door and he has
oh my
done this
God.
image. That's his claws, okay? Like that is him clawing at the door to try to get out.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so you don't tell me that what his claws, like what that dog's claws can and cannot do because it's real quick. And he doesn't mean to, but he's a big guy,
Yeah. I will say, Coral, I would pay money to see you get up on the stand and hold your ankle up like this and be like, see?
Like, just let me, this is like exhibit A, okay? This is how I know that the dog did that, okay? And it was like, to me, it's like I've seen it. So me and my husband we can't do it when Dexter's around, but like if we're play fighting, one time we were just play fighting, we're wrestling, and he really got protective of me. He snapped at his dad and was like immediately would have caused him some harm if he didn't stop. So that's why I feel like there was an altercation down in that basement, and that dog saw, oh crap, like my people are getting hurt, and the dog went to defend them. So it makes logical sense, besides whatever pale light that broke off and ninja starred across his arm, and he did a pirouette, and still they have no idea they still can't even say what hit the back of his head to cause that damage. Remember, there was nothing there. There was no rock, fire hydrant.
Yeah, right. Not just the back of his head, but I've got to cite Nurse Kim on this because she brought back the testimony of Dr. Renee Stonebridge. Okay. So Dr. Renee Stonebridge was one of the Commonwealth witnesses. She's like a quadruple board certified neuro doctor. She knows her shit. She was brought in for Officer O'Keefe's autopsy, and she concluded that it wasn't just the back of his head that suffered extreme trauma. I mean, there were, what she said was too many concussions on the temporal sides of the head for her to even count. And some of that is caused by swelling and stuff like that. But I mean, when there's too many to count, that tells you that someone didn't just get smacked in the head one good time and then fall to the frozen ground.
Well, let's not forget the defensive wounds, and nobody brings that up. He had bruising on the back parts of his hands.
100%. And actually, I believe Dr. Russell is going to bring that up because not only was she a dog bite expert, but she also, between her experience in the emergency room and her experience as the head of the Department of Corrections Health Wing for all of California, she saw a lot of defensive wounds. She saw a lot of canine bites. So yeah, she's I believe going to bring that up because I remember hearing about it in her Daubert hearing.
Well, I definitely think that like her statement, that's why I was glad that like if she denied that I think we probably would have rioted because she is the most she's the most experienced on canine injuries, on pedestrian injuries, vehicle with pedestrian. Like she had all that experience because she's worked that her whole life. So I want to get back to the fact of why did you guys swab his shirt and not his actual arm? What was the whole point of that? To me, it was like, I feed my dog pig ears all the time. So when they said pig DNA, I was like, yep, German Shepherd on the arm. Like, come on, man.
I got 3 bullies and they eat those too.
Exactly. I was like, how? Because people were like, how do you get pig? And I was like, they're like, probably from the food he ate. I'm like, no, it's probably from what the dog was eating, and that was filling his teeth.
Yeah, if he was eating pork, he didn't get it all over his sleeves. Okay, like if John O'Keefe were, he wouldn't have gotten it all over his sleeves. But the dog, just saying. Oh, Kimberlina, before I pull your comment down, I wanted to touch on what you mentioned about the YSL trial. So, did you see any of that trial, Coral?
Of what?
The YSL trial that Kimberlina
Watch
brought
a
up?
little bit of it. I'm not, when it comes down to well, even just listening to a couple of the guys testify, like I
Yeah.
couldn't. I was like, mentally, I feel like I'm losing brain cells.
And that trial lasted so
So
freaking long. I
long,
mean,
yeah.
I didn't watch every day of it, that's for sure. But yeah, that was absolutely crazy. So the defense attorney for Young Thug found out that the judge, Earl Glanville, had been having ex parte meetings with the prosecutor and one of the witnesses. Which means you're meeting in chambers without the defense being privy to it. And when the defense attorney brought that up as a concern to the judge and asked him to recuse himself, instead of saying, "Oh wow, that's a very serious accusation. We need to have this looked into right away. I'm so sorry. Here, let me go ahead and recuse myself right away." He said, "Who the hell told you that?" And the defense attorney said, "Sir, it's actually an ethical violation for me to share where I got that information, but I know it's good information. It came from a good source, and I have it on good authority that this happened. So what we actually need to be addressing is why you are having ex parte communications with the DA and this third party witness." And Glanville held the defense attorney, Brian Steele, in contempt, cuffed his ass. Oh yeah.
Well, over here in Massachusetts, they're like, well, we don't do that here.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so Kimberlina, come back at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. One of the YSL attorneys is coming on.
I know, that's so exciting.
He's gonna mostly be talking about Karen Reed because he can't share a whole lot about the YSL trial, but he is an appellate lawyer, and he's working with one of the people associated with the YSL trial. So yeah, make sure you come back for that.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome. I didn't really watch that trial. There was just so many other ones going on. I think that was probably like Chloe Driver time too, and I was watching that one. And anytime that there's like children involved, that one's like is a tough thing for me. But I always like want to watch and see that the children are getting justice.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is just. There's been so many good cases lately where I've been interested in the Idaho 4 too. Now that they just dropped those 911 transcripts and the text messages, because I don't know about any of y'all, but I just feel like those two roommates are suspect to me. Whether you're scared, and I can't speak on how people handle traumas or what they're going through, but like there was two of you and you waited so many hours before you called 911. You're messaging each other, you're calling the roommates. If you're not getting any calls, then all of a sudden you decide, hey, I'm gonna like sleep on it, and then I'll call my dad, and then after that I'll call 911. Like that to me was. How do you they had blood dripping from the foundation. It was such a horrific scene, and not one person in that 911 call mentioned that there was even any sort of blood. That would have been something so critical to me. Hey, listen, I don't know if something happened, but there's a lot of blood around. No, we didn't get that. So I'm like, why isn't, and obviously there was another set of DNA underneath the girl's fingernails. So like she fought for her. That was the one that fought for her life. You didn't hear any of those noises. This is like, this was like, they all suffered. There was a lot of noise. So, and then because of the crime scene, they even tore down that whole house. So it was like bizarre for me. And I don't want to I don't know the whole story because a lot of that was, they literally put gag orders out. Nobody was allowed to speak about it because of such the notoriety of the case and how fast it was traveling in news and media. But now things are starting to drop, and I'm like, but wait, why did we not check DNA on all those people that tampered with the scene and were all in the house? Like, I'm shocked at what's going to happen with this case. So this one's been like anything that I see of him too. Him and Karen Reed have been like, I got to tune in. I got to see what's going on because there's just so much where I'm just like, what?
Let me put you on then to a really good law tuber. He is practicing in Massachusetts and in New Hampshire. but his YouTube show primarily covers Karen Reed and the Brian Kohlberger case.
Oh wow. I love
Yeah,
that.
his name's Andrew D. Myers.
Let me write that
And
down.
the name of his channel is About the Law.
About the law.
And he's got like a paralegal who goes by Lainey Law. She's super sweet, and she's kind of his co-host. And they've had Mark Betterow on their show. I mean, they've done a lot of good coverage of both those cases.
I keep counting down. Like one day, I want to see you with like Turtle Boy up on here because I'd love to see. I'd love to watch that.
I hate that I didn't get to see you during my trip up to Massachusetts, but I did meet
know.
Aiden.
You did meet him?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that you
he's-
got to. How come you didn't post on it? You didn't do any like you didn't have any like TikTok videos or like you didn't take pictures?
Well, I did. I'll share them with you, and I'll
Okay.
do like maybe like a members only slideshow of it. And I did post some of the pictures like in a live here, but I wanted to do it all after the fact, because as I'm sure you're aware, there are like 12 anti Karen Reed, or what does Melanie Little call them? Fry Karen Reed. There's free Karen Reed and Fry Karen Reed. Yeah. So that dozen people who have like 20 Twitter accounts each, I did not want to make a big spectacle out of me being up there. Not that I think I would be a huge target or anything. I just didn't want to take any chances. So
as you can see, there's already crazy in the case, and that comes with everybody behind the scenes as well. And that's kind of like primarily why I've always like stayed. I did tell Nikki though that if you guys do plan a trip, that I will definitely go meet up with you guys because I'm not going down to that courthouse by myself. There's just too many crazies already, and now especially more so now.
Right. I think we're maybe going to do a girls trip up there. So yeah, we'll totally come hang out with you for sure. And then how far away do you, I mean, you don't have to tell me what city you live in, but like roughly how
I'm 45
long
minutes away.
Okay, sweet.
So not bad.
Very, very cool. So yeah, Christina, Nikki, Boston Brandy, we're gonna plan a girls trip up there. So it'll be fun.
Let me know. I'll tell my girl ahead of time to make some shirts.
Yes. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that. Well, we'll come up with some clever ones because she can do whatever we want.
Oh, sweet. I actually was thinking about having some merch made. So I don't know exactly the best way to do that, but maybe she can put me on.
Well, let me know because I have like this is what she does. Like she's does crafts and stuff on the side, but this girl is like I'm like, you're like Mary Poppins / like Martha Stewart. Like everything is just so great. And that's what she's a stay-at-home mom. So if I'll have her talk with you too, because if it's going to benefit, it helps you out. And then her work is so amazing. Like I honestly, like she puts love into every piece that she makes and they're all handmade. So I recommend her to everybody. She's made my like the tumbler cups, shirts, like pretty much everything she can do.
Super cool. Yeah.
And she's got really comfy shirts too. They're really nice and soft and like, I love them. But yeah, I'll hook you up with her because she like, it helps her out too. And I'm always about like helping single moms out or, work hard.
Great idea. Yeah. I love being able to help like either small businesses or, local people, not just putting more money in the pockets of people who wouldn't even notice my business. So
exactly. Especially nowadays in this economy, man. It is wild.
Exactly.
I saw the other day we had a person missing out here that they ended up finding the person no longer living, and they had it was so bizarre. we were in Massachusetts, and the crime scene was taped off. They were collecting evidence, not in solo cups or plastic bags. It was like, wow, this state side has been doing better over here.
I
It's
can't
not a
believe all the
laughing matter, but it
props.
really is, because I still can't even believe the little that they grabbed from the crime scene and that they never taped off Karen's, like, or I mean,
Yeah,
well, John O'Keefe's area, like, never went in the house. That still bothers me to this day. Like,
exactly. Exactly. And freaking these. Do you know how many props I have based off of the stupid shit that they've done? I've got 6 solo cups. I made my own Stop and Shop bag. It's actually an Aldi bag, but I wrote
yes,
Stop and Shop on it. And now I've got the Post-it notes because of Helena Rafferty saying LOL. That's just how it records. LOL. No tampering. Are you
I
shitting
can't
me?
believe it. I was just
That's
like, but I'm like, wow, this is, and to me, I think it was even more bizarre because, the brotherhood is like one of the biggest things we hear about all over the place, with cops always
mhm.
protecting other cops, or just,
Yep.
staying in their own lane, or like not speaking on anything they see. And like, to switch that up, because there's a lot of great cops in the world. Unfortunately, there are a lot of crappy ones. In this
Mhm.
case, when somebody is just magically like not living on a lawn of a fellow police officer, I expected SWAT team to show up. I expected that whole block to be shut down. And that
100%.
was bizarre for me, that you did less for a fellow state police officer than you did for, like, just down the road for this guy that was just like a random, like, nobody knew him, just a random nobody. And they had they had the whole block taped. You couldn't even go down there, but they didn't do that for John. And this is this same area, same state
Yeah.
police. No, that
And
doesn't
then
make sense to me.
these guys got more justice than John O'Keefe did. They got probably 50 times more of an investigation than John O'Keefe. Wild to me. I'm
It
a
is.
Jeeper, so I had a bunch of ducks laying around that I ended up being
Is
able
that
to keep
really a
in my
thing? Do people
studio.
really leave them for you?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a thing in the Jeep community. It's
Yeah, I
called
see it
Duck
all the
Duck
time, but I'm
Jeep.
like, does that really ever happen or no?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's 100% a thing. So when I
I've
first
never
started
once like
hearing,
walked upon and seen somebody have a Jeep. Like, I see, like, I have a couple people at my job that have Jeeps, and I've never seen like anybody leaving one, or like like in the, I'm like, do you guys buy your own ducks? I've never once watched that happen.
yep, yep, Amazon, we Amazon them. It might be more of a southern thing. A lot of Southerners love Jeeps because there's so much sand in the dirt that it's hard to off-road unless you have a very specifically built vehicle. There's a lot of clay
Now,
too,
do
depending
you
on
buy
where you
ducks
are.
and put them on people's cars?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I've done it. I've also passed around ducks that were given to me. Like
Oh,
I've
that's cool.
taken a duck off my dashboard and passed
They're
it
like,
on.
oh,
But
this
yeah,
duck's pretty gross. I don't like this one. I'll put it to somebody else.
well, yeah, or if I don't have one of the ones that I bought. But yeah, it's kind of like a way of giving a compliment.
I gotta
It's kind of
find
like
you
a
a turtle boy duck.
yes, oh my god. I got Nurse Kim a duck that has a nurse outfit on and she wears pearls.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
oh yeah, the duck has a string of pearls on. She loved it, lost her mind. Um, oh man. Now every time I think of Nurse Kim, I think of that very first stream that I did on YouTube that just crashed and burned so badly
Hey, you know
with
what?
my
That's how we learn, though. I swear that's
Mhm.
like something you have to experience, and you're like, now you're getting better at it, and each time you get better. Like, everybody starts like that. If you go back and look at a lot of the creators and go back to the beginning, you're like, oh wow, this is a
Oh
whole
yeah.
360.
And I mean, even now there's glitches and blips that all, that happen to everybody regardless of the amount of experience you have. So, I think that's why a lot of people don't do live streams. They just kind of prep studio prep one, cut and clip
Mhm.
it and then post it. I've only ever done one on YouTube. It wasn't Oh, Christina says it wasn't that bad. I think that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
I feel
Thank
like
you.
it's because when it's happening to you, it's the whole world is ending. You know, it's like, no, now, not the time for this. We practiced. It was fine.
Well, and you go out of your way and spend so much on, special equipment, a microphone,
I know.
a
Listen, mine
better
was crackly today, and I spent a lot of money on this bad boy.
yeah, yeah. A better webcam. You do all this stuff to be able to have everything go smoothly. I pay every month for this streaming software too.
Yep, I do too.
So yeah, so I mean, you get all that set up and then it has the issues that it has on the first try. It kind of puts a bad taste in your mouth about the whole thing. But whatever.
Have you done pre-records yet so you can drop it and be live in the chat?
No, I have not done one of those.
So on this platform, because you use the same one StreamYard that I do, it'll say
Mhm.
pre-record, and so you
Yeah.
basically get to go and nobody watches you. You do your whole recording, so that way you could pull up things and move it over and talk about something, and then you schedule it, and then you get to be in the chat. So when it drops, it's live for
Oh,
it's a live chat. However, it's pre-recorded video.
that
Those
is
are
super
fun.
cool.
Those are awesome because now you get to actually engage with the whole chat the whole time. And then you kind of
And
like
not
learn
get
back from
interrupted.
your experience too, because you get to hear yourself and be like, oh, I
Yep.
forgot this part. You know, it's kind of
Yep.
learning.
Yep.
I like those a
My
lot. You should try that.
I think I will. Yeah, there was oh, hey Brandy, glad you're here. Oh, hey Thomas. What's up, friend? So there was one pre-recorded video that I did. And I literally was using my cell phone and sitting in the bathtub. But it was when we first yeah, I know. But it was something I needed to cover right away. It was the day that Ted Daniel and Christina Rex were saying, "Oh, we've heard from sources that the federal
Um,
investigation is closed."
yeah, you had to get on that one right away.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You were
Well,
like Rev Run with the BlackBerry in the tub.
exactly, exactly. Well, let me show you what I did. So, I had, I first I researched all the ways that the DOJ actually does announce that they're closing an investigation, and then I had AI, tell me and list in what order the, they do that as far as frequency goes. So what do they do the most down to what they do the very least. So these are the ways that the DOJ, do you like my Dixie cup looking but these are all the ways that the Department of Justice actually announces in order from the most common to the least common. So we still haven't seen an official press release. We still haven't seen a public statement from DOJ officials. We still haven't seen any court filings. We haven't seen, any letters that have been dispersed. Next to not announcing it at all, a leak to the media is the least common way that the feds announce that they're closing an investigation. And they've been so tight-lipped about this entire thing. We still haven't seen anything official, not on their website, not a press release, nothing. So until I hear directly from them that this is over, I'm gonna take everything I hear about that investigation with a grain of salt, a wedge of lime, and a shot of tequila.
It's so true. I hate that the sources say, like, is it like your next door neighbor? Is it somebody of value? Like,
Right. Right.
you gotta elaborate, because I don't want to hear
Mhm.
sources say. Like, I want to know what source.
Right.
Like,
Who's the
what?
source? I bet you the source is Michael Morrissey, you
You know
know?
what pisses me off? I'm already like getting enraged by it now, and my brain is having to see, especially because of last week, having to see Paul sitting there just grilling down Karen the whole time, and I'm just
Mhm.
like, why, guy? You don't want justice for your brother. That's clear. You want zero. You don't even want to know what the truth is. You just want to make sure she goes down for it. You don't care about anything else, and that to me is very loud. And I'm like, why are they? How? Like, Dude, your own
Right.
mom don't even want to be by you.
And your own wife now.
Well, that was very, I mean, I love Turtle Boy for that. Dropping that tea. I'm glad that lady went right to Turtle Boy with it. And that's what he gets. Like, don't forget that Karen bailed you out when you had your DUI and almost unalived someone yourself, and then got you an attorney as well. But you forget about those things, right? You don't remember those portions. But now, as long as she goes down for it, that's all you care about. Like, did you remember
100%.
in the very beginning when he was like really upset about like the whole thing? He's like, Karen said that she's no longer going to be able to speak to us anymore. Like, common sense will tell you that she can't legally. That's your brother, your family. Right. So she has to remove herself from the situations. And then he used it like it was her trying to admit guilt. Like, no, bro, this is for her defense. She needs to stay away from you. And clearly for good reason, because I really wish I could know that, like, as soon as this is all said and done, I hope Karen comes out and writes a book. I hope she civilly sues all these people, goes after each one for defamation and slander. Like, I mean, she definitely
be renamed Rita-chusets.
And then hopefully she comes forward when she does these ones and brings people like Bettero with her and be like, say something now. You can't stop him now, right? And we'll see who was really good in court. Because that's crazy to me.
Let me pull up what Rich, is it Vestine? Hang on, I'm pulling it up on Twitter real quick. He's an attorney out of Massachusetts, and he had some really interesting. Yep, Richard Vestine. Here we go. Here he is. We're gonna. Okay, here we go. We're going to do a screen share. Bear with me. I'm working with a laptop. I don't have a big fancy desktop with multiple monitors.
I have one, but it's just sitting here right now.
Right. So here we go.
Karen Chusets.
Yeah.
Thank you for subbing, Karen.
Oh, funny. Okay, so how do I make this bigger? Here we go. All right. So he said that Canone choosing not to allow Bettero, this is absolutely bonkers. This judge is not the client. Karen Reed is, and it's up to Karen and Karen alone to waive any conflict. So procedurally, the defendant is the one who, if there is some kind of concern about a conflict of interest, which is what phony baloney Canone cited, there being a possible conflict of interest. If that's a problem, then it's actually up to the defendant. It's up to the client.
Yeah, it would be her to say, hey, I don't like that Turtle Boy has him. Like, come on, man. If it wasn't for Turtle Boy, this wouldn't be where it's at right now. She would already be in jail. So Turtle Boy actually cracked that door wide open with helping with the defense. So to her, Bettero is only going to make this better for her. So that should be her decision. And that's why I was like, what? This is way corrupt. How is nobody seeing this from a higher level and shutting this shit down? Like, what are we even doing in Massachusetts? Y'all all need to not be removed from your jobs. All of you, all of y'all. It's very clear that the corruption is real deep. Like, what can you? Listen, and I can't do hanky pank. All right. I really am starting to miss Lallygag, because Hank is like a mixture. To me, it's like if like Pee Wee Herman had a baby, like just like he's got that annoying like a little voice and like his little like I can't. And it's like,
I'm concerned for his sinuses.
And then he just like repeats himself like 7 different ways to come up with, and we're all sitting here like, what the fuck is your point? Can you get to the point of what you're trying to bring up with facts? Actual.
Yep. And then most of what he says, he attaches no documents.
No, that's what I'm saying. There's no finding.
No motions, nothing. So and understand that this is intentional, guys, because that way he cannot be held accountable for what he says. Because every time that you submit a motion you're basically stating whatever's in that motion under oath in writing. So he's doing all that 100% on purpose. He knows better.
Well,
But,
they've caught
yeah,
him
I
so
mean-
much lies, but like we already know, this
Yeah.
has been a trial full of lies. Look at how many people should have gotten perjury charges, like Allie McCabe. That was she cried
Higgins.
with fake tears, saying he was never in the house, and you're so mean to Colin. Yet then, like an hour later, his own dad puts him in the house. Like what is happening? These people should be in, like what is when you swear on and you take that oath, you don't get held accountable when you lie on the stand. So how
You're
many of the
supposed
people are lying? Like,
Mhm.
and nobody cares because anywhere else there's people getting charges for those things. So it is mind blowing to me that Higgins. I bet you he's coming in with his attorney. He's coming in, and his attorney's going to be
He
right
already did
there.
once.
Oh yeah, this time it's more serious though because
Yeah.
now we got the new footage at 1:30 in the morning outside the
Yep.
Sally Port. Now we got
know
that.
you were lying.
Remember when you can't your butt dialing and you can't say anything in 20 seconds? Remember that too? That like this guy,
But
we
you
got
can
a
have
lot more.
But you can have a 10-second conversation with your attorney.
Oh,
You can't speak with Brian Albert in a conversation that's 20 seconds or less, but you can have a whole ass conversation with your attorney in 10 seconds.
I love that. He was like, you can't it's impossible. You can't. Are you seriously? Because like I literally did that so many times and put 20 seconds up and try to say as much as I could. And I was like, wow, I could really say a lot in 20 seconds. Like it's kind of crazy. But the fact that he was trying to tell us that, like, what dumb people with no common sense are you talking to? Is there like 3 people out there? I'm real worried for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for sure.
For sure.
One of them needs to roll over, Boston Brandy, or who said that? Not Boston. Yeah, no,
Nikki.
Nikki.
That was Nikki.
Nikki, for sure, Nikki. That part is to me is like, okay, now when it comes down to you being, getting some charges or being removed from your job, are you gonna throw people under the bus? Because I have a feeling it's like between him and Proctor, someone's gonna have to throw somebody under there. You're losing everything. So pick your decision and pick it wisely. And I'm hoping that it ends up being Higgins because he's the one on the federal side. So
Agreed. Now, do you think that it is a coincidence that after Hank proclaimed in open court that the federal investigation was closed, Bev started going from biased rulings to absolutely blatantly corrupt, unheard of rulings? As soon as he said that in open court, Bev said, "Hold my White Claw." And
she sure did at her Cape House probably too, and was like,
"Yep, making shit rulings before. Watch me now, bitch!" And she just went off the deep end, denied Bettero, allowed Jim Crosby, who, by the way, does not have a medical degree.
I think enraged us all. Like what?
Mm-hmm. So Dr.
It's like when she allowed the text messages, like she wouldn't allow us to see the impression. Remember that when Chloe had bit another person and they supposedly had pictures, Auntie Bev would not let that be used to compare to John's arm because she didn't know if that was a valid, it could have been altered, but yet she let a screenshot of Apple text messages between Allie and Colin in without all the rest of it. Not pulled, literally a screenshot. This is the same woman. So we know that she don't care about facts. She cares about like keeping her fucking job. And at this point, she's too deep. So I feel at this point, the feds are done. Okay. Now I could go, but clearly they didn't come after me or they didn't do anything. So now I could make my own decisions. That's really what I thought.
Right. And when she denied Dr. Rentschler testifying to the causation of the injuries to O'Keefe's arm. Remember, she cited in the state of Massachusetts, we can't have anybody who is not a medical doctor testify to the causation of injuries. And then she barely let Dr. Russell testify.
Overqualified.
Overqualified. She sits through 1 day of voir dire before the first trial and then 2 whole days of Daubert hearings.
That was
before the second
crazy too. They
trial.
were grilling her.
Oh, she was raked over the coals that
And she
day.
handled that shit like a G. I was
Oh,
like,
I know.
boom, drop the mic, let this lady get on this. We want to hear what she has to say. I mean, I'm all for it at round 2 because she was very informative the first time. She didn't take no shit. She answered all the questions respectfully, and like we need her. Like I think we would have all lost it in Massachusetts collectively if that was like already the suppressions and everything else she's doing is just crazy. Like what? Well, how are we coming up with new evidence? What do you mean there's new pic videos? Now you got video camera from the camera, how it looked before and how it was already inverted and it wasn't just altered then. It had been doing that before. Like, how come you didn't present that first trial? Why did you wait till now to be bringing these forward? Like that, none of this makes sense.
Did you see too that when Hank was trying to prove that point by showing other Sallyport footage from separate days, he was trying to show, oh yeah, that really is how it records. It records grainy, it records blurry, it records backwards. Did you see that the timestamp was a different color?
Yep, and it was on the bottom versus, or I was on the top versus on the bottom. He's like, wait a second. I mean,
and
Alan was quick to call that out.
Yep, blue and yellow. So
let's not forget about Trooper Paul's homemade Excel spreadsheet. We loved that. The crime scene spoke to Trooper Paul. He only had certification and associate's degree, but when he saw it, he just knew right away. Like, this guy was such a full of crap. We were all like, you're going to listen to Trooper Paul over the Crash Daddy? Like,
and you're going to read his text stream data that has no timestamps, by the way.
No factual proof. All the stuff that you guys had was all altered. I thought, what I thought was weird too? I wanted to ask your take about this. What about when we found out that person, I don't know the names, I'm fucking terrible with names, but that one guy that was responsible for the cameras over at the library was responsible for the cameras in the police department as well. I didn't know. That's real kind of crazy that you over here, that never was brought up in court, that because remember we had library camera footage missing that would have exonerated Karen and the ones in the Sallyport. So it's very weird that the only 2 cameras that had alterations or missing things besides John's home one was those that all done by the same guy. So that I was like, I got to ask her what she thinks about this.
So if we're referring to Trooper Dunn.
No, it wasn't a cop though. It wasn't the cop.
It was Colleen Crawford then.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So if we're referring to Colleen Crawford, she's sticking her fingers in a lot of pies with this case. And I'm shocked that we're just now finding out about it. And I believe she's the reason that a guy.
Yeah, it was a guy. You're right. It was a guy, and I can't think of it. What it's I think I want to say Jew. It was a name I can't pronounce. Because I was
man. I don't remember his name.
But you know who I was talking about, because when they brought that up, I was like, wait a second here. How come that was never brought up? Because we were blaming Proctor because they were the ones that got that pulled that had all the camera footage. So we're blaming the police, but like, is it deeper? Was there somebody else that works out? They got to the people that work on the cameras, that do the setups and takedowns, and it happens to be the same person for those both, Yeah.
I mean, I think between him, Colleen Crawford, and Trooper Dunn, that's why they don't want us seeing the access logs to any of that footage.
Yeah, Lally gave him a CD and said, no, I don't recognize that. Like, what? What is happening?
Yeah. This is, okay, thank you.
There it is.
Thank you, John Camo. John Camo.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yes, I couldn't remember his name. Thank you, guys. But they were saying like his last name, so they weren't calling him Lewis. They were calling him like Jutris or something. I'm like, what kind of name is that? So in my brain, I was already like, dispose.
Yeah, I won't remember this. Hallelujah.
Yeah, that's funny. They're the IT guy. That's what it is. But that's very odd that those it's the same one that was handling the library too. And like out of all places, you would find if you're bringing like the murder weapon into a garage. All cameras need to be working at all times without 42 minutes of video footage missing or anything. If there was any sort of inverted or anything like that, it should have been addressed at the beginning. And if that was an ongoing issue, why did they not state, hey, this has been like that? We actually had to call a guy to come fix the cameras because we were having problems. Like, no,
Right.
I expect like the Walmart camera to work like that, not something in our government that is supposed
Our
to be.
police
We paid
department.
for you guys to have all this nice stuff. You have nice equipment in your cars, but your cameras are shit inside where we actually want to see that evidence. Like,
And you want to create a freaking mobile firing range with all the extra money.
mm-hmm.
Rafferty is asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars to build basically a range in a truck that you can go in. Now, you can only use up to a 38, even though their everyday carry is a 44.
What?
Yeah.
So we can throw that money here. We just like, screw those cameras that we actually need for court. We're just going to do some stuff that's irrelevant over here. Like, I can't.
Wildness.
And like, I'll even find it weird now. Like, even so, a guy that I had spoken with, that he's a state trooper, he actually, their SWAT teams are formed by a bunch of different officers. So they'll take a couple from here, and that forms a SWAT. So when they're calling in a SWAT, it's a bunch of different people from a bunch of different areas that work together. So they have it's like a separate job, but they're a state trooper here, but then when they need SWAT, they get involved. So it's multiple different jurisdictions, codes, different cops from all over. So this guy actually ended up working with a couple of the cops on the other side. I can't say too much about it because he'll literally come for me. But he was telling me that he's like, there's a lot of things that you see behind the scenes, and it really affects you mentally. And he's like, you just have to remove yourself from it or count your job goodbye. And that to me was like so loud of like, okay, I choose to be a good cop. So I'm either going to move and relocate myself and look away, or I'm going to speak up and lose my job for something else that I'm going to get, they're going to take me down. That is the kind of stuff that's scary, that we live in worlds like that, where what do you do? But at this point, like, if it wasn't for Karen having some sort of finances and people backing her, if it was you or me right now, Britt, we would be in jail. We would not be.
100%.
We would not be fighting up, going up against cops, DA, like all the upper levels. You got to have some funds to do that. Whether they're corrupt, even with the corruption. Look at how far this case has gone with blatant, like, corruption. We all see it.
Yeah.
She's still fighting for her life over here. Like,
yeah.
Meanwhile, the Slender Man lady almost like she stabbed the girl 19 times. She out, like that. We just letting people get out for crazier things. Like, I just don't. I don't have faith in it, and it scares me. And I live in Mass, so I'm like, is my local cops? I have good thing I haven't had any altercations with them, but like, are they like that? I don't know. I'm scared. I'm not going to be wanting to call them.
Well,
unless dire need.
I mean, we have a lot. I mean, look at Sonia Massey out of Chicago. I mean, we have a lot to worry about. And this is why, guys.
No, I think Rafferty's a scapegoat, though. Ask Bob. When you say that, put Rafferty on the stand. I think she's a scapegoat. That's why they keep bringing her in, because they get to do what they want to do. And I think she's oblivious to a lot of the things, and she just has to sign off on shit. And I don't think, like, I know she knows about it, but I think that's why they keep voting her back in, is because it's easy for them to keep continuing. She's not really digging in.
And then, what's wild to me is that, like you said, if this had happened to you or me, we would have had to roll over, right? That in most states, most people don't qualify for a public defender. You almost have to be on some form of government assistance to be able to get a public defender. You have to make, I think, in most states, the threshold is somewhere around $30,000 a year. So if your salary and household, if your household income per year is over, I mean, I looked it up for Georgia and for Florida, and most of it is somewhere around $30,000 to $35,000. It's like a certain amount above the poverty line. So if you make any more than that, you don't qualify for public defense. But a private attorney, especially depending on the charge, could cost tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions.
Mm-hmm.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Karen, millions of dollars for private defense. So
And
why is
in
it
order to fight
that
for your life, it's like, okay, well, I
yeah,
guess everybody's going to be poor after this because that's huge to go up against higher officials. That's what you're trying to do.
right?
We see it through Karen. Like it's going to be very slim. Look, already a mistrial. None of us thought that we would be here right now. Like
No, I
sitting
thought
through
for
this disgusting
sure we would
judge.
have had an acquittal. I will never forget that confidence that I felt when they asked, "Is there a CERT team report?" When the jury asked from the deliberation room if they could get a CERT team report, and Canone said, "Oh, tell them that they have everything they're gonna get. There isn't a CERT team report. They've got everything." And so once that happened, I was thinking for sure they were going to come back with an acquittal, which technically they did.
Why
Dispute
didn't
the
they put
charges.
Rafferty on the stand though? How come they haven't used her being of like a chief of police or you're acting in there? Why would she not be called? Because remember, even when Proctor threw her under the bus and said like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
well, like I gave her the information. She had the information." Well, then why didn't they call her to ask if she had that information? That part never made sense to me either. Of
Yeah.
why we had Tully up there. We had every other officer that was irrelevant up there, but not her. I just
Mm.
feel like that was like, can we use her again? Why is it like, I don't know. I always thought it would be weird. Like, have Alan call her. You know, I was like, you know what? We need to hear so. It's not going to help the defense, but we want to know in a little way. It will. I want to see how she speaks on the stand because it's a lot easier to speak to
Mhm.
social or to media. That's what she's used to doing. She's used to like, taking
She
the.
just leaves one of these on her door.
I'm shocked now. I mean, at least they have more defense people, more defense witnesses that they're calling this time.
Mhm.
Because obviously the 4 experts didn't matter last time, so now they have to bring out the extra guns here. But I
Right.
mean,
Well, and they had to, fight tooth and nail to get the witnesses that they did get.
which is
The
crazy
6 that they
to me.
had.
Don't
Mhm.
and then you hear Canoni the whole time like we want Karen to have a fair trial, so I'll allow it. Like no, come on, man. You don't allow like you're not allowing things. You try to speak to the people like you're trying to give her a fair trial, but you're doing everything to make it unfair as possible. So
Um, Members in the chat, can we get some fuck off Beverly emojis going? I made this last night
yes,
for a new emoji for the members.
I love that. That's a good one. Seriously,
That
because we're going to be
do
needing it for the trial. We're going to be needing
mhm.
that for sure. Oh,
Well, do
sorry, I'm
you
looking.
remember if you remember in one of the pre-trial hearings, um there was someone on the other end of the Zoom who was disrupting the meeting and saying like free my boy Billy Tibbetts, Billy's innocent, something like that. And Beverly said, if we can't get this under control, we're probably going to have to turn the Zoom off for everybody. And whoever it was on the other end said, fuck off, Beverly. and this is the exact face that that Jackson made when he
Which is
heard
funny
it.
because we're all in our brains saying that shit. Like seriously.
Uh-huh.
Like I
Oh,
hate
for
it too when
sure.
she comes out. I'm gonna have to go think about this. Like literally just came back from break. You're going back to another break. Like I have no idea. And then you come back with absolutely nothing. Like I want to know what she does in her chambers when she goes back there. Like because it's literally nothing of value.
Bob, I feel like you mentioned this in the past. We know that Rafferty did hit a pedestrian one day in a crosswalk. So the pedestrian that Rafferty hit is actually a family friend of Bob's, and he has had to have 13 surgeries. She hasn't so much as called him.
Wow.
Yep. She hasn't so much as called him to apologize, and she got a $200 ticket.
While he was walking in a crosswalk, which is, didn't he have like a reflective vest or something on too? Like it was like pretty obvious. I thought someone said that. Let me know if that's true.
With all the drinking and driving, it seems that the cops do. Maybe she would never have noticed.
Well, let's also not forget when, what was that? The one that ended up on the lawn over there, the body that came out of the car crashed into a tree. And then, they all reported to the scene and they just thought that the car was unoccupied and came back an hour later. There was a man on the lawn and he ended up, he would have already lost his life. Like, how do you know? A whole like hour and a half went by. Like you missed a whole body on the lawn. Like, so you already knew that there was, this whole place has been, I want to know about those pieces, the people that didn't have money, the like the non-Karens that actually went to jail because these guys doing a shit job, not doing their due diligence.
I'm working on getting somebody to come on this show for a stream from the Innocence Project so that they can kind of get us some more information and statistics about all that. And in my digging of previous cases where people have had to roll over, it happens a lot more with women than it does with men. It's unreal to me. The first woman to have had her conviction overturned by the Innocence Project didn't happen until like 2014 or 2015.
That's crazy. But then I'd like to point out though, there's not many of us that get out there and if they do, it's usually children, unfortunately their own. That's usually a lot of the women things, or in this case.
Well, they go to the caretaker of the child. So the one who got let out, she had a toddler who was special needs. Okay. And she had like 3 or 4 other kids too. One day she was working, the family was moving out of their house and, she's pregnant, might I add. She's pregnant when this happens. The toddler who had a pre-existing condition affecting, mobility fell down the stairs the day of the move. Okay. Now this is a, working class person, and she does what every mom would do, which is assess the child, make sure that they're not hurt, no broken bones, no bleeding, none of that. Kid says, I'm fine, mom. I'll be okay. That hurt, but I'll be all right. So mom does not take the kid to the hospital. Well, 2 days later, either overnight or during a nap, the child passed away because it turned out that he or she had a concussion. So mom then spends decades in prison because basically she didn't take her kid to the hospital when it didn't appear that they needed to take the kid to the hospital. And then there was another woman whose house burned down. And it was an accidental fire, but the insurance company or something, because they didn't want to pay out, they made it look like there was an accelerant added to the fire. So she sat for decades for the death of her child.
Well, I mean, that's crazy. I just was watching the story the other day where the mom, like when I don't know if you've ever done that or had somebody do it to you when you're getting in the car and the kids are like trying to get in the car and you drive up. So you just kind of like, they're trying to grab the handle and they can't get in.
Oh yeah. To be
Well,
funny,
the mom did that. And when she jolted forward, I guess the kid's foot got caught and she actually unalived her child. It was all accidental. God. But like, it was like, the whole kids, they interviewed the rest of her kids. She's like, we've been doing this since we were little. It was always a fun game. Like if you didn't get to the car, then your mom would leave you. And it was like, I think I've done that to my kids a couple of times and not thought about it, but she's spending 2.5 years in jail right now because of this. Never mind the fact that she lost her child doing something that it was a common thing that she never thought would happen, but it's still like crazy. Like, wow.
Well,
Yeah, I guess
and
I
these
never
are
would have
all
thought about it.
things, but these are all things that are horrific accidents. I mean, yeah, it's
Mhm.
tragic and they're horrific accidents. Why is it that we now are seeing prosecutors who have a fucking salesman's mentality and it's all about get the conviction, get the conviction, get the conviction? Like, why are they spending taxpayer money trying to put these women, who many of which have other kids that they need to take care of, and it was some form of accident, nothing criminal took place. Why are you spending all this taxpayer money on something that was clearly an accident?
Mhm. We all want to know.
Yeah.
But this
Um,
part this has been just so crazy. Would you say Rafferty would never survive cross examination? Yeah, that's why I want to see
maybe.
her up there. I want to see her just in regular, like just let the prosecution talk to her. Like that part
Mhm.
was bizarre to me alone. You know what always blew my mind too is what's his why can't I think of his name right now? Hold on, I'm gonna think about it. Lucky
Yeah.
over there being on the defensive side, and you literally what the prosecution should have called him. It should have been an automatic thing, but the fact that that guy was going to go and tell the truth really messed them up,
Yep.
and that alone
And
should have been eye
originally,
opening because hey. And then when they throw, you know what else pisses me off too is when Hankey's up there immediately throwing Proctor under the bus and all these people on from the under the like that's you are Proctor. You that's
mhm,
as a prosecutor, you were Proctor. That is your
yeah,
boy, bro. That's your boy. So
just like how
you can
Bev
sit there
made
and say,
all the
hey,
defense attorneys stand like toddlers in the corner saying, "Yes, ma'am, I understand that I'm responsible for what my co-counsel does." Hank should have been made to say the same thing, saying, "Yes, ma'am, I understand that I am responsible for what Adam Lally does. I'm responsible for what Michael Proctor does. I'm responsible for what Yuri Buchanan does. I'm responsible for everybody in the Commonwealth." That he should have had to make the same statement.
exactly. And then what do? They have the townspeople speak up in Canton and say, we don't want Rafferty. She gets automatically the town board brings her on and signs her for long. Like, what do you mean? The whole town is telling you they don't want her. And you
Yep.
bring and like everybody that was underneath her roof is in trouble. But now we're like, okay, she could go up there. She doesn't have to testify. She doesn't have to say anything. She's responsible for all these people, but she remains the most quiet. And that's bizarre as well. Like, what?
Yeah. And they
Why?
originally, the Commonwealth was originally saying that there was no snowplower in that area that night too.
That's because they knew that there was already weird situation. I mean, look at Lucky even said, like, I noted that that car was there because it wasn't there before. And he, as a plow driver, he has to explain why he didn't plow a certain area that he was supposed to. And he's right there by the
Mhm.
road. He would have seen, like, in a sea full of white. I live in Mass. Anything's on your lawn, you recognize it right away because it sticks out like a sore thumb when the snow starts
Mhm.
piling on top of it. You're gonna
Yeah.
not miss the 6'3" man with 16 people in the house leaving a party, and then people were literally would have saw that and be like, "What's that blob on the grass?" Because it would have poked out, and he wasn't fully covered. So y'all are very non-observant, or I mean, we'll never really get the full facts because they didn't even interview most of these people till 18 months after. So that to
Right.
me was like, what do you mean you interviewed them in their own house 18 months after? I could barely remember what I did yesterday, and you're expecting me to remember 18 months prior? Yeah, you're gonna not think about a lot of the things that you probably saw that now you can't. You're not remembering because it was irrelevant at the time. You know, like that's
And
why you ask them right away.
then just to kind of put myself in Karen's shoes that night. If I'm at a party full of people, many of whom I do not know, and I am literally watching people coming in and out of the house. Look at the Nagels, okay? There are people coming in and out. Do I don't think I'm really going to, especially intentionally, back my car into somebody when supposedly there are people standing right in the window watching for me. There's supposedly people coming in and out of the house, talking to the other cars pulling up. there's someone in the car right behind me, much less drive off, even if I did it by mistake, I'm gonna feel that I hit something.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, you feel when you hit a 200 something pound object.
And I also call bullshit on that because I live in Massachusetts. I drive in the snow. I've driven in a blizzard. I've driven on ice. We're used to driving in those conditions. Without all-wheel drive on, because remember they said that it was turned off. Her tires would have been spinning. She wouldn't have been able just to like go backwards like that. It doesn't work because if you don't have all-wheel drive on, you ain't moving anywhere. Not when the road's like even.
Well, especially if your safety features are on.
Oh yeah, yes. So like that's the whole thing is it stops you from doing all those things. So remember they said that her safety features were turned off, so it wouldn't have had that. Mine automatically brakes when there's like something in front of it. Like those features they said were off. However, that means you're shutting off those things. Even on ice, my tires will slip until I put it into that drive mode, and then it catches and it's fine. It would have been very obvious.
Did they say at any point that she had some type of specialty tire, like snow tires or chain tires? I don't remember hearing anything about that. I think that she was just using standard all season tires.
Yeah, no, that's that. Even so, we don't need she's not going to need chains on her tires out here, unless because you have the all-wheel drive. She has an SUV that has all that built into it.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah, she doesn't. So if she's using standard all-season tires, though, and her anti-locks are turned off.
Dexter decided he wants to watch Vampire Diaries, so he just turned that on. Look, you like that show, buddy?
That's great.
Yeah, but so on mine, like as long as I have, like I know right now the roads are pretty. It's pretty dry out here right now. But like at nighttime, if it rains and we have like ice, even a little bit of ice and a little bit of snow, your car will start swerve. So you put the all-wheel drive in or put your safety features on just so it can help protect you. But like that. They went with that 3-point turn. I've tried the 3-point turn method. I've tried backing straight back to see how easy that was. And honestly, your bumper sticks out further than anything else. So he would have had injuries from the bumper. It's not just the tail light. The bumper sticks out more than the tail light does. So it's not going to just magically hit his arm. He'd have to hit the bumper on the bottom parts of his knee depending on where it lined up because he was a tall dude. But it's an SUV, so that to me, like I tried every which way to think about it and tried driving myself. I was like, "Can you go stand out there?" Told my hubby, "Can you stand out there? I won't really hit you. I just want to see." He's like, "No, I'm not doing that."
I just find all that, like as far as common sense goes, I find all that so difficult to believe that with all these people coming in and out, when you've been calling back and forth with Jennifer McCabe, so. That she's waiting on you. She's probably watching for you.
Mm-hmm.
You got lost, so you called her for directions. You literally watched Ryan Nagel pull up behind you and probably watched Julie Nagel come out and speak with Ryan. You're watching all that happen, and you're really going to do something like that with all those witnesses?
Yeah. I feel like they failed anyways, just stating that the car was the murder weapon because they should have went if they would have went out there and said Karen hit him with a blunt object or something, it would have made him a little bit more sense where I had to think about it for a second because even there was still no witnesses from either experience, but no car hit that man. So you're still going with that theory of a car hit him when none of the crime scene isn't even lining up to the injuries that he has. So even the medical examiner to the scientific doctors, everybody that came forward with a PhD or has written, these guys were overly experienced. They were top of the line. And you're not going to listen to science. Like, look at how excited the Crash Daddy was to explain to us his contraption he made to test that, like the theory with the cup in his hand, with that little ding that was on the back. Like, he was so excited just to show us science, and they want to discredit that portion. Like, hello, why are we here? This is so crazy to me. Plus, if I don't get to see his big dimples, I was looking forward to that. I was like, look at him with his cheese. He was so excited to talk about it. And I was like, tell us more, doctor.
Even Bev, she was into those brown eyes and stuff, you know? She was checking him out from her
I mean,
bench.
it was hard not to because he definitely came out with a lot of facts and he was good to look at. So it was like a all around winning. But then they wanted to put it up. Oh, well, you didn't actually go see Karen's actual car. Well, no, I had the same make and model. Why would I need to go see Karen's car when I have the actual headlight here? Why would I need it that? You want me to go take her actual headlight and test it with her? Is hers faulty than this Lexus headlight? You know, that doesn't make sense. But I feel like they were trying to kind of come out with anything they could to discredit these people who were overly credible. How much more do you want?
Still are now.
That's like, oh, listen, we're going to take Koral. Koral, like, she's never once studied this in her life, but she's going to come up on the stand right now and tell you how it's not possible.
Yep.
Bizarre. I can't.
Koral and her ankle.
Yeah, my ankle. I'll come up there with my little injury and show them, you know, what German Shepherds are capable of. Even when they're just like playing around, they don't mean to. I could only imagine how my dog would be if he was really trying to defend me. I feel bad for the person, honestly, because I've seen him even just in play fighting. Like he turns into a dog that I've never seen. So they're very protective animals.
Yes,
or
they
Chloe,
are. Even if my husband
did a lot of that work. If they wouldn't have had those injuries on the arm, we'd all be sitting here baffled at what the hell happened. But that made it very well clear because we already knew the dog was in the basement. Because, you know, Brian told us that he had to go down to the basement because the dog doesn't get along with people. So he had to be down there to comfort the dog. I bet you he gave old Dingle over there to John O'Keefe, said, hey, all the dudes are hanging out in the back. Come around the backside. And comes right down them stairs and gets met at the fate. And we all can speculate all we want. I know in that basement was definitely Brian, was definitely Colin, and was definitely Higgins. Okay. Those three people were definitely in that basement with that when this all took place. Now, what happened during that little fight there? We don't know. We can only assume. I don't, whether it was an accident or not, and maybe he fell backwards and hit his head and they were like, oh shit. But it definitely was an attack from the very beginning. So then they wanted us to try to throw everything. And that's why a lot of people didn't notice because they were in the kitchen hanging out. And I find it fucking weird that all these people that are like, hey, we're staring out the window waiting for John to come. Why were you all excited and waiting for John to come there? You guys were just hanging out with him at the bar. What was so important about John being there and you also had to look out the window and wait for him? You stopped your party so you could all stare out the window to wait for John's arrival. But then when he didn't get out of the car, come out, you guys just stopped looking, fucking weird.
Like,
that was all weird to me.
You apparently watched Karen. You saw her car right outside and you didn't come out to wave and make sure that she knew she was at the right place or anything.
Well, that's the whole thing about it was so awkward. Why did Allie McCabe pick him up at the school behind his house? Why didn't she pick him up in front of the house? Why was her mom allowing her to drive in a blizzard to pick up her drunk, I don't know what, like, I guess it's kind of cousin that's not blood related. Like you literally had her. I would never let my kids drive in the snow at all, let alone go at midnight to go pick up their drunk cousin. And she called somebody else prior to calling her daughter. So what was the whole rush about getting Colin out of the house?
My personal theory on the, back behind rather than right out front. I think after whatever happened to John, somebody told Colin, okay, get the fuck out of here. Hop the fence in the back. Someone's going to pull around to get you.
Yep. And good old Snaggletooth over there was making sure that he got his little getaway driver by any means necessary, even if it was putting our own daughter at risk.
Let's see some tell the tooth emojis.
Tell the tooth.
Tell the tooth. Yep. It's got a big old tooth. Big green letters.
I will never forget that just because she was so ridiculous on the stand. For immediately, she just sitting there, she's looking at the jury and she's like, John was my friend. He was my friend. And then 2 minutes later, there's a man on the road over here at this house. Not like a guy. Yeah, I don't know if he's alive. I don't think he's alive. Like, that's your friend though.
Did you we went through that phone call like word by word not too long ago. They were asking, hey, were there any drugs or alcohol involved. And you know what she said? They were out drinking. She didn't even include herself in what they were doing the night before. And then she has the nads to name drop the Alberts before telling them who the victim is. I need somebody to come to 34 Fairview Road, Canton, Mass. Yes, it's the Albert residence. Yes, it's the Albert's house. I need somebody to come to the Albert's house. There's a guy passed out in the snow. So long
crazy.
before she mentions that he's a Boston police officer named John O'Keefe, she's saying, yes, it's the Albert residence. I'm with the Alberts.
So I really think that I think that Colin. Remember, Colin and John already had beef. They like no grown man that is a police officer is going to have beef with a teenage kid unless the kid's a punk ass. Like, and remember they lived like 3 doors down, so the kid probably caused some grief. We already know that John O'Keefe had called and reported to Rafferty about some narcotics being sold on his street, which Colin's living on the street. Like, it just sounds to me. I'm speculating there, so don't come for me. But it does sound very suspect why he would have that beef with Colin. And remember, we already heard about him on the stand about him cutting through his lawn. No guy's going to get upset because a kid's cutting through their grass. There was a problem way before that. So when Colin now has some liquor in him and Uncle Higgies has got some liquor in him and John O'Keefe is showing up at the house and they spent all that time, remember, through all the Waze and the Light 360 with the 3-minute time clocks to try to determine that Colin was never there at the same time. That was the whole point. They spent so much time trying to show us how Colin was he was gone there by that time. One, he wasn't in the house. Then he was there, but then he left before there. And then we spent all that time trying to figure it out. Why were you doing that so much?
Freudian slip about, or was it Allie or was it Caitlin? Someone help me out in the chat when she said on the stand, Colin wasn't there at the same time that John was there.
Was it Allie? Oh man, I don't know if it was Allie or Caitlin. It was definitely one of them, but I don't know if it was Allie or Caitlin either.
Yeah, I don't remember which one.
But I remember them saying that.
Everything. He wasn't there when John was there.
Yep. Exactly. Like, man, they didn't work with you good on this speech when you came out here, huh? Because what is happening? Like the Life 360 part was just hilarious to me. Like, oh, you forgot that part, right? You forgot that shows your location. That's how people knew you picked them up at the school and not in the front of the house, which nobody thought was suspect either. Which, I mean, I'm not going to go walking through the woods if I can come right out the front door and go into the car. There's a reason why she went through the back way. And I guarantee you that they freaking had to lift that big ass dog and bring it with them because that dog was gone as well and went somewhere over in the middle of the night. Yeah. Where did the dog go? So somebody I feel like Colin and both of them got that dog out of the house as well.
Thank you, Christina. Christina says it was Allie McCabe.
It was Allie. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Allie would definitely sat up there and perjured herself the whole time. Like, well, I'll give it to Allie. She will she's willing to go to jail to help out Colin. Like that's crazy to me that you have even his own dad, like put him in the house. His uncle put him in the house. They all immediately, remember, pretrial and everything, didn't say a damn word. Colin had not been in the house at all, but on the stand, magically he was in the house. And now everybody is discredited for what they said prior. What? Why are you guys trying to keep him out? Because he had a major part of what happened. That's exactly why. We all saw them fucking knuckles where he Hulk smacked the ground when he fell, which he deleted. Like what also 17-year-old is deleting all their social media, but keeping Snapchat.
Yeah. And then on top of that, remember, Brian Albert and Brian Higgins were not seen in public for quite a while after this happened. They didn't show up to his funeral.
But that's their friend. Mm-hmm. That's our friend. Remember, they were wearing the pins.
You're willing to drive all the way to frickin' New York on a day trip to attend the funeral of a fellow officer who's not even in the same unit as you on January 28th. Okay? You took the day off work to go attend a fucking funeral up there. But then when your friend who works Boston PD, who is in the service in your state and in your office, you don't bother coming to his funeral?
Yeah.
Yes, Sherry.
They talked about it on the stand because they were saying he was saying,
Yep.
hey, we were driving back from going to his buddy's funeral. So then we all were
that's
like,
why they had been day drinking.
I feel like I messaged you that day, like, what? They went to that funeral, but they didn't go to John's, and that's their friend. Like, I was mad about it. Like,
Yep.
how are you going to justify that? Like this guy that you haven't talked to in a long time, that you went all the way out to go to his funeral, but not your own friend that died in your yard, that you were hanging out with the night prior. You think you would be so wrapped into that because it's your friend and because it's your house? That's bizarre to me.
Oh, also bizarre, Sherry D with the facts here. Nicole testified about Brian going to the funeral, but she didn't know exactly what he was doing. Are you kidding me? Koral, you're married.
Mm-hmm.
I'm married. Okay, married ladies here. We can all right now tell each other where our husbands are. Mine is on the couch. I know what seat he's in on the couch right now. And if he's not, he's in the kitchen.
Mine's working.
Yep. Yep.
And I know exactly where, because he'll even tell me, like, oh, went on lunch. Like, I don't ask him to. We just normally do that because I know if something happens to me at any point, he knows that I left where I was at to go somewhere else. So he's like, oh no, she told me she was going to Walmart. So that way, in case something happens, they know. Like, we just normally do that.
Yep. And if my husband's going out of town for a day trip for any reason, like if he's going somewhere distance-wise, or if I'm going somewhere distance-wise, we've got each other's locations pulled up at all times, shared. I mean, that's not a trust thing, that's a safety thing.
Mm-hmm. That is. It's just to make sure that you're like, especially it's like, that's my best friend. Like, he knows everything about me, and I definitely am like letting him know everything. So it's like, what else are you going to talk about when you live together and see each other all the time? You know, it's like, well, hey, how'd your day go? Yeah, but yeah, you know, like you're generally talking to each other throughout the day, even if you're not together. So
exactly. Lulu Bell's husband's at the car wash right now.
At the car wash. Nicole's husband banging.
Man.
I was about to read that out loud. I'm like, I'm gonna stop. Hey, how about Proctor's wife? When you got to hear everything he said about Karen Reed looking for nudes, talking about her, like her private thing, and then you get to hear like, and then you're going to be out there. I stand by my man. What? Because he sure don't stand by you. If that's what he's doing to Karen, imagine what else is going on behind the scenes, because that wasn't an interest of his. Imagine if it was, though. Girl, you're being played as real dumb in these streets for sure. I could never. If I found out that, I'd be like, it'd be a problem. You're like, wow, the disrespect. You're like, why would you even say that about anybody? Well, as a police officer, why are you looking for anybody's nudes? That has nothing to do with what you're supposed to be looking for in their phones. And the fact you're having group discussions about it.
Yeah. I wouldn't be saying to the press, I stand by my husband no matter what.
Nope, no. Not at all.
I would not be saying that to the press if that's what came out of my husband's phone.
As a matter of fact, you'd be seeing me in the grocery store with no ring on my finger.
Yep. I'd probably be protesting right along with the rest of them.
And I love it when the union was like, it's not fair that you're taking away his pay. He has children. He didn't care about that. He didn't care about John raising those two babies. They lost their parents. John was the actual real thing they had in their life. Now he's taken away. These kids have nobody besides a jacked up family that took away even their, you know, like the schooling part was like pissed me off. John worked so hard to get this these kids in good schools and do something productive, and that gets taken away from them, as well as everybody that they care about. Like, I felt freaking terrible for those children, and then they're coerced by people to say things that aren't even accurate.
They're true. Yep. Changing what you're eating in your testimony to make certain impeachment evidence irrelevant.
You don't remember by now. Like, that's because they found out that there was actual proof to back up what they were saying. Oh, no, never mind. It was something else. Like, wow, another incident? Okay, come on now. That's why they were fighting, because she was being too lenient with them. So
Mhm.
obviously those kids didn't have anything bad to say about her in the beginning. It's only until afterwards that they had something to say. Like that's just crazy to like, they already went through so much. The fact they even brought the kids at all was bullshit. The kids had nothing to do with it, like at all.
Well,
You could talk
well,
about
again,
at
that's
that
the same
night,
reason they brought the sisters too into all this, because they were not going to be able to show any kind of motive for that second degree charge unless they brought the children and the sisters.
Now, imagine being those kids when they get older and they look back and they see that, and now the McCabe's are in their life, the McAlberts, like they're the McCabe's are there for them, and they're like, come on, man, that's where your uncle went. That these are at the hands of these people, and they're supposed to be, they care about you now, and they're the ones looking out for you. Come on, man.
Yeah, with friends like these.
I hope those kids get older and look back at all the information and be like, wow, okay.
How do
So
you
they
think
aren't who I thought.
Yeah. How do you think they and Paul would react if and when they finally find out that they've had the wool over their eyes this whole time?
That's what I'm saying, because they're little at the time. Now they're getting to that point of like, they're not obviously sitting through all the trial. They were only there when they were needed. So it's to them. They're not watching all that. But I feel like I'd be frustrated by it. Like, they lost their mom and dad. Their uncle came over to take care of them, and they were actually living a decent lifestyle. And then their whole world gets flipped upside down. The parents keep them there. That bothers me the most. Like, you're going to let these kids, like, you need to pick them up and move them out of freaking Canton and put them someplace else so they have a fair chance at having a good life, because now they're going to be known as the kids that are really orphaned by everybody that's ever loved them. And now they're like, everything changes for them. And I can only imagine what it's like when they go to school. Oh, yeah, you're the kid from Karen Reed, like,
Oh,
it's
yeah. That's
brutal.
so sad. That's so sad.
And she was good to them. That was the problem.
Yeah.
She was too good to them.
Mhm.
So I'm like, wow, like, I don't, how these poor kids, when they get older, are going to be so pissed off. Like, unless they don't have common sense, which, because you never really know these days in Massachusetts. But I believe just because of these kids weren't removed and they already had a rough life. I just feel bad for them not having that trust, or like being scared of anybody being responsible for you. Cause you're like, man, everybody that loves us, we must be a curse. Like,
Oh,
poor
yeah,
kid.
like you got all kinds of like abandonment issues,
Mhm.
survivor's guilt. I mean, it's a host of complications to your mental health, especially when
Now
all that
after this,
happens as
Karen,
a
now I just
child.
suggest she gets out of this one. She civilly sues everybody, takes a lump sum of money, and lives on a private island, and only talks to like immediate people that were there with her the whole time, and just lives
Yep.
her best life. Because I felt like I see her mentally each time. You can see it in her face that she's just exhausted. It's like,
Mhm.
we're still here. And then I saw the other day, I was talking about Karen Reed on my live. This lady came in and she's like, yeah, that's it has, because she was actually defending, saying that Karen is guilty, and she was trying to go over her. And I'm like, why do you believe that? She's like, because it was already proven. She had the hard time in the beginning when Karen said, hey, I could have hit him. Remember her first plea when she first went in, and a lot of people don't remember. She did say that it was accidental, that she couldn't remember. So because of that, a lot of people were still going off of that. And when I'm trying to like bring it up, like, how there's evidence that shows that no car hit that man, regardless. Throw Karen out the picture.
Exactly. I think what was happening there was they were taking advantage of Karen's ignorance of what happened.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they're like, oh, you have a cracked taillight. You have this.
Mhm.
Oh, it could have been that. Like, and that's the thing is, Karen, like, Karen probably had a couple drinks, and she was like, I don't remember that. I remember I dropped them off. She was probably, in my opinion, because I know, how it would be for me. Sometimes my hubby will have like, I drive us home because I have not had anything to drink. He's had a lot to drink, and he's like, let's go to an after party. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. I was like, oh, we haven't seen them in a while. Maybe we'll go. While we're in the car, I'm already frustrated. I'm like, I don't want to do that. You're having fun. I'm not going to be able to do that. Now I'm kind of getting pissed off. I'm not going to this party. I'm actually going to go and get to McDonald's, and I'm going to go home. And then if he wanted to go somewhere, I'll drop your ass off, but I'm not going to go inside. And I feel like that's the whole thing that happened with Karen is like, listen, I don't fucking want to do that. I'm not going in that house. I do not want to be here with these people. And she let him out the car. And
Well, and
she
she
said
was
she
feeling
looked
like
down.
crap too,
Yeah.
probably.
That's what I'm saying. She might have
Goodness.
a couple bit to drink, but listen, every one of those cops let her get behind the wheel. Even John O'Keefe let her drive the car. So if she was that intoxicated, why did all these police officers, including her own
Her
boyfriend,
man.
let
Yep.
her drive, knowing that what could have happened? No.
Yep.
They obviously
No
felt that she
way.
was safe enough to be in that vehicle to be driving out of all of them.
Yeah.
They would have been like, John, you know what? You're gonna have to let her drive. Like that's that. And both of them were carrying themselves well. So it didn't make any sort of sense. But maybe I was in my brain like, okay, maybe she like drank a little bit and she remembers certain clips about the night. But when John didn't come home, she got real pissed off that he was doing something, cheating on her or something because he wasn't answering. And then was like, wait, did I hit him? I don't remember hitting him. Could I have hit him? And someone's trying to tell you that and you're not realizing you're trying to piece this all in an emergency situation. I feel like that really hurt her because she was like, what? Like, could I have done that? Not
Yep.
remembering that she had already backed into John's car. That didn't trigger into her brain that like, hey, could I have broken that taillight off of this car that I hit?
Right.
That wasn't, she was in her brain like, oh my God, I could have, right? Maybe.
Well, and they were withholding all this stuff from her, for a very long time. So, of course, all she knew was that there was damage to her car and that he was dead.
Mm-hmm.
So, she knew as much as we did at the beginning. And then she said in her most recent interview with Ted Daniel, when I started, well, I being her, when she started hearing from the cops that like they were accusing her of deleting ring camera footage and stuff like that, she was like, oh, that is when I knew that they were going to make this difficult for me.
Yeah, but remember, they even said that John didn't give any access to Karen for those videos. So like they felt dumb after that. You're sitting here saying Karen could have done it when Karen didn't have access. John was the only one that had access. He actually didn't give her access to the cameras. So that was like a little bizarre to me too. Like, you tried to throw her under the bus there, but then she didn't have that. They were only dating. They weren't married.
Exactly.
She actually still had she had her own separate house.
Yep. Yeah, she didn't have
people
access
fail to
to
forget that part, like that she definitely had her own place to live. That was her boyfriend. Yes, they had been dating for a couple of years. Yes, she was helping with the children, and I'm sure she was there a lot. However, they weren't married.
In that phase
They weren't. Yeah, they're not sharing bills or anything. John's paying his own way, and she's paying her own way. So I'm sure John wouldn't have had access to her ring cameras either.
Exactly. Larry, very good point, my friend. Karen is also fighting 2 autoimmune diseases.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. I mean, she and then she's also dealing with the grief. It's all fresh, and she doesn't even know exactly what happened. She's in her mind. And let me just say this, anytime, and this is very common of women, if someone that they care for dies, they start going through their mind of, did I contribute to this in any way?
Mm-hmm.
What could I have done differently? Did I do something wrong? And women say all the time, even when it's not, they say things like, it's all my fault.
Yep.
They say it all the time. It happens every day. It could be that, someone died of illness. It could be that, the loved one was hundreds of miles away. It's very common that women blame themselves for things that had nothing to do with them. So, if she said something like that, if she made those kinds of statements, I don't consider that to be incriminating.
No, I'm excited to see that when that interview should be. When is that date? It's dropping soon, right?
Oh, the one with Good Morning America?
Yeah, the Good Morning America.
I don't remember. Hang on, let me look it up real quick.
But I saw that it's going to be dropping soon. Because remember, they want all the behind the scenes of that too, on any of the edits and
Yeah.
everything. Why they would need all that is ridiculous.
I hope Ted Daniel drew a bunch of dicks in his personal notes for when he had to turn all that shit over to the Commonwealth. Okay. I'm not.
I
All
hope that
I'm
she at least comes
seeing.
out and say worth her while. Like write a book, put everything out there that you couldn't say before, because now they want to be able to try you again. At least to be able to put your in, like when they cut things, break things down. I really just like hope that she does something to gain back everything that she's lost during these last couple years. And then she didn't even get a proper chance to even grieve over John herself, because she immediately got thrown into defense mode of fighting for her own life, that she didn't even get a chance to let that settle in, that I just lost my man and now I'm being accused of it. That to me was crazy, because it's like people are like, well, she's not emotional. Did you hear her in that 911 call? Did you hear her at all? She was very
Yeah.
emotional. She was very distraught. She was very emotional when she was calling him when she thought he was cheating on him and he didn't come home. She's like, last thing I know, I dropped you off at a party and
Yes.
now you're not answering your phone or your text messages. I'm going to think the worst too, because that's not like you. I'm going to be like, that's weird.
Mhm.
I feel my gut is telling me something isn't right here, but her gut was like telling her she's thinking that way, and it was actually much worse. So, but all that lined up to me, it made logical sense that if she thought that he was like, something had happened to him, it wouldn't have been like that. She wouldn't have been doing everything she was doing, calling him and texting
Probably.
him and saying those same exact things.
Probably not. Okay, so I did find this, which was interesting, by Phil Tenser.
So that was posted
And
this
this,
morning, right? I saw that this
yep,
morning.
yep. So they're coming out with a docuseries, and that's gonna drop tomorrow. Wait, no, not tomorrow. March 17th. So next Monday. St. Patty's Day. It's called A Body in the Snow, The Trial of Karen Reed. ABC News' Eva Pilgrim spoke with documentary director Terry Dunn Muir about the series for Monday morning on Good Morning America. Okay, so yeah, it's going to come out next Monday.
I was going to say, I know it's coming out soon.
In all the time she spent with Reed for the documentary, Muir said that the most surprising thing was how involved Reed was in her defense. Okay. She was there for every single minute. And she says, what else? What else I'm going to do? I'm fighting for my life here. I want to be involved. Yeah, of course.
But she's had to stay silent this whole time. So I'm sure that even with this silence, she probably already talked to Jackson, Yannetti, Little. They all had a powwow about what she should say, not say, avoid. Say, hey, afterwards we'll come out with something. But right now, don't touch on that because it can be used against you. So let's just only cover the factual portions that you can say. So I'm sure she was still silenced in a way of being able to not say certain things because she knew that this was going to be coming back to her. And obviously that was the first thing they were excited about. Like, yep, I want everything. Like,
yep.
Come on, man.
I'm going to play this.
The trailer?
Yeah. Hang tight. I got to share it in a separate thing. Oh. Get me out of there. All right. So present, share screen. Yes, that one. Here we go. No. Go back. Go. Sorry, y'all.
The joys of YouTube.
Right.
Don't worry, I'll use it as my snack time for my Uncrustable.
And I got to get ready for my other stream here.
I know.
Soon.
I was just thinking about that because I'm like, my phone's at 37%. So we'll have a lot to talk about, though.
We sure will. All right, let me play this real quick.
Karen Reed is accused of hitting John O'Keefe with her SUV and leaving him to die in the snow.
Their relationship was not a happy one.
Not a single witness actually saw this happen.
There's a whole other side of the story.
This is funny, Ms. Reed.
They've got her guilty already.
So did you
drive your car into John.
Doing this film is my testimony. I want to say what happened exactly as it happened. John was a Boston police officer. We went to the bar with a bunch of cops. Jen McCabe invited us to the Alberts. Last I ever talked to him when he got out of my car at Brian Albert's house.
Everybody liked Karen, and everything changed.
He was found dead on the lawn of another police officer.
This is one of their own, and that raises the stakes.
Yep.
Miss Reed stated that she hit him 3 times. I hit him. I hit him.
I hit him. That statement doesn't appear on any of the tapes.
They were shocked.
I am not on trial. I am a witness.
It's impossible to have any sympathy. They're all lying.
She'd smile or laugh.
She's posing for pictures.
Her behavior, in conjunction with the hard evidence, points in one direction.
DNA evidence placed parts of John on Karen's car.
Feels like I'm in a bad dream. This can't be real.
She was angry. She had been drinking.
How many calls?
There was over 50.
What did you text about going through Karen Reed's phone?
No news so far.
There were gasps.
One of the most uncomfortable moments of this entire trial.
Shame on you, sir.
Elle magazine wants to feature me.
She was the happiest murder defendant in America.
You're either pro Karen Reed or you are pro police.
It's become a civil war.
This justice system will never be the same after this.
I can't believe what's happening to me.
Yeah.
I'd also like to let people know that it was not like that. Those protest ones must have been towards the very end because there wasn't that many people there protesting for John O'Keefe. There really wasn't. There wasn't like it was just a small group of individuals, but they made it seem like that there was just these like big groups of people. They weren't even allowed to be by the courthouse. You had to stay away at a certain distance because they didn't want that people up by the courthouse, which is crazy because everywhere else it's legal. So.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. Buffer
I'm
zone.
like, that is staged. That's like some sort of, because I've never seen that many gather for John, unfortunately. And not anybody that does is not any of the right people that are actually trying to fight for justice or what happened to him. It's all people that are just anti-Karen.
Yep. Yep. I mean, that's so true. Most of the people who have taken the stance that they have, they don't even seem like your typical police supporters. And let me just say, like, Koral and I both are very supportive of law enforcement. We have been our entire lives. This is just a case where, there are bad apples in every community, in every organization, in every institution. So, exactly, Sherry. Don't get it twisted. Freeing Karen Reed is the first step to getting justice for Officer John O'Keefe.
Because we know she didn't do it. Therefore, there are somebody else out there. We want justice for John. You know what? One thing about John is everything that we've heard about him was he was a great officer. He donated. He gave up. He would do charity work. He made sure kids had shoes that didn't have them. He was listed and known for. Look, he thought somebody on his block was selling narcotics. He called that in. Like, this guy was a good cop. And unfortunately, he had one night where he hung out with some bad ones, and he got to see that unfold in a negative light. And so it's not all police officers, but there are a few. And unfortunately, John found the wrong ones.
Yes. Yes, he did. Like I said, with friends like these, right?
Mm-hmm.
So guys, if you haven't already, please be sure to leave your DNA evidence on the like button and the subscribe button. It would be very, very much appreciated. To those of you who supported the channel today, thank you oh so very much. A lot of Nichols became a member. She is now a Savage Patch Kid. Thank you so much. And Christina, thank you, my love. I appreciate it. I hope your husband's doing okay, by the way. Let's see. There are other means and methods scrolling below by which you can support the channel. Let me check and see if anybody did that today.
Sherry just dropped you $5 holla.
Oh, thank you, Sherry. Many, many thanks. I appreciate it. And guys, make sure you come back at 5 Eastern time. We're going to have a very interesting attorney coming on. If you guys are on Twitter, if you've seen Happily Angry Lawyer, Happily Inspired, he's popping on. He's a California appellate attorney, Jim Robichaud. He's actually representing somebody in the YSL case. I don't know what can be shared and what can't be shared about that, but he's lately been very outspoken with his thoughts on Karen. So he's going to come back and we're going to talk about Karen today at 5 Eastern. So be sure to arrive for that. Oh yeah, definitely need all the prayers, Christina. So guys, please be whatever it is you do, whether you pray, whether you meditate, whether you just send good thoughts and vibes, do that for Christina and her husband. So, but yeah, I really appreciate your time, Koral. We've been trying to do this for a while, like for months.
I know. I say we do it again. We'll schedule it somewhere during that trial. So I know we're going to have something, or we could come out and we can all just like throw something, do another crack talk session. But yeah, you guys could definitely follow me. I'm on Koral and Dexter on TikTok and on YouTube. And I'll definitely be following this case. The Idaho 4 is going to be huge for me too, like I said. So you guys could catch me there as well. And these are real nails, all acrylic. They're not press-ons. I literally function with these, but it's a thing. Either you hate it or you love it.
That's her signature, guys. And then I just posted Koral's Twitter, or I'm sorry, her X account.
Yeah, I know. I still call it Twitter. I can't call it X. It's Twitter.
Yeah. So yeah, make sure y'all follow and subscribe to Koral and Dexter. Some of the best case coverage, not just for Karen, but for many, many other cases as well. Thank you so much, Foxy One. I appreciate it. I ever so much appreciate it. This is an itty bitty baby channel, so y'all's support will help keep the channel channeling. All right. Well, Koral, I could just talk with you all day.
I know. I love you, girl. I love you so much.
Thank you again for coming on.
I'll come speak up. I don't know much about the YSL case, but I'll come creep in and say hi.
All right. Well, we're talking more Karen because he can't share that much about the YSL stuff. But
I'm always down for a good Karen talk, so I'll come back in.
Yeah,
and say hi.
Definitely a good Karen talk. And make sure you check out his Twitter too. Let me post his Twitter name, because he's got some awesome thoughts on Karen's case. He's so sassy. Like he's a total savage about all this. He's definitely worth looking at. He gives some really, really good thoughts. So it'll be good. And he's an appellate guy, so we'll have some good questions for him in the chat, I'm sure.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for having me. Thank you, chat. You guys have been really awesome and engaging. And Nikki, I love you so much. And I'll see you guys next time.
All righty, my love. You take care. Have a good rest of your afternoon.
You too. Bye.
Take it easy. All righty, guys. Let's go through and thank everybody again. Thank you so much, Nichols. Thank you so much, Christina. Sherry D, one of the most supportive people we have on this channel. And thank you, Foxy One. And guys, make sure that you come back today at 5 p.m. for Jim. He's going to be an awesome, awesome voice in the Free Karen Read movement. Well, I mean, he might not be holding signs, but, kind of like Mark Federer, he gives a lot of good insights. So we'll be dying to hear his thoughts later today. I am gonna get a little something to eat, and I will see you back here at 5 Eastern Standard Time. Love y'all. Peace, love, and butt dials. Have a great rest of your day.